Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, jueves el 12 de septiembre. Picking up where we left off last class with your introduction, or continuation of your introduction to el subjuntivo, the present subjunctive, that we began last week at the very end of the week, and we continued our conversations at the beginning of this week. How to formulate the subjunctive, we took notes on that on page 14, página 14. Talked about how the subjunctive is formed beginning with the present indicative yo form, then dropping the o ending. That becomes our stem, and then we add to that stem or root the following present subjunctive endings, and they're essentially the opposite, flip-flopped, of the endings that are in the present indicative, just switched. As you can see there on page 14, we filled in this conjugation chart, some example conjugations there, also with irregular verbs in the O form. So a lot of this top half of notes we covered at the end of last week, and then last class we kind of got into some of the irregularities, Kargar-Zar verbs, how they have a spelling change, just like how they do in the preterite in the yo form that's extended to the present subjunctive. Irregular verbs in the subjunctive, you have those at the bottom. Stem changing verbs in the present indicative, those also have the same stem change pattern in the present subjunctive, and this is where we left off last class, exercise 4 and 5. Exercise 4, you have two clauses on either side of the conjunction K. You're conjugating the verbs in the second clause in the subjunctive. And then for 5, we created our own responses, finishing off the second clause with your own authentic response. For example, number 1, mis padres insisten que yo. What do your parents insist that you do? And then whatever that is would be conjugated, that verb would be conjugated in the yo form in the present subjunctive. Excuse me, number 5, I believe we also finished off with last class. Se prohíbe que los estudiantes, students are prohibited from doing what? What are students not allowed to do, or what should students not be allowed to do? Whatever that is, that verb should be conjugated in the subjunctive according to your subject, los estudiantes. Se prohíbe que los estudiantes usen el teléfono en clase. Se prohíbe que los estudiantes duerman en clase. Se prohíbe que los estudiantes no participen en la clase. You gotta engage or participate. Those are just some examples off the top of the head. All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off. Those of you for third period, you are watching this video because I'm not with you. So I want to create this for you guys to guide you through just getting some reps in. And I know it might be mundane, but just to get you acclimated to the different situations that the subjunctive calls for and then what that grammar looks like. So I gave you some guided pages, meaning that even if you haven't been here, or you've been here and you haven't really been here, if that makes sense, you have everything that you need with regard to notes to guide you through. So, first page begins with regular verbs in the subjunctive. And again, all the notes that we've covered together in class are kind of summarized here in terms of how to formulate the subjunctive, the situations that call for the subjunctive, the endings of AR, ER, and IR verbs in the subjunctives. So, part A, underline the verbs in the present subjunctive in the following sentences. Pretty easy, huh? Underlining the verbs in the subjunctive, and you're not going to underline the first verb because the first verb is in the regular present tense. It is an expression of suggestion, recommendation, demand, hope, wish, etc. The different acronym or the situations within the acronym WEIRD that we took down at the beginning in our notes. So it won't be the first verb because that verb is an expression of WEIRD. In the regular present tense, it'll always be the second verb, the verb that comes directly after que, that'll be in the subjunctive. Super easy, part A. Underline the verb in the subjunctive. For example, number 1, el doctor quiere que los pacientes coman. Coman would be the verb comer in the subjunctive. Doctor wants patients to eat well. This is a recommendation, a suggestion that a doctor would make. Los profesores exigen que los estudiantes estudien. Estudien would be our present subjunctive. Teachers demand that students what? That they study. Kind of a demand, maybe a polite suggestion, a recommendation, but yeah, you gotta do a little review at home. That's always good. All right, so that's part A. Part B, on the next page, Oprah is known for her dedication to health and fitness. Identify if each of the following activities is a custom, meaning it's something that the person does. It is a verb expressed in the regular present tense. That would be a custom, something that you do, or in this case, Oprah does. R would be a recommendation that Oprah is giving to someone else. And remember, that's what the subjunctive calls for. The subjunctive calls for two clauses, two separate halves that are connected by the word que. Oprah, in this case, would be the subject of the first clause, and then the second half includes a verb in the subjunctive because Oprah is essentially telling what she would like that second person to do in terms of a suggestion or recommendation, in this case for health stuff. So, R for the example, because Oprah is advising somebody else. Oprah le aconseja a la chica que haga cinta. Oprah is advising somebody else to do something else, and that's why the verb hacer is in the subjunctive there. Let's do the first one together. Oprah siempre blank antes de correr. Oprah always stretches. This is the verb to stretch, estirarse. By the way, you could also always, I'm sure you know this at this point, but go to Spanish Dictionary if the internet wants to cooperate. And then you put in a verb as you see it conjugated, and then it'll tell you what that verb is in the infinitive. As soon as I have functioning internet, I'll do that. And I'll show you guys. And then you can also see the different ways that that verb would be conjugated. Anyway, R for recommendation, if it's a sentence in the subjunctive. C, if it's a custom, meaning that Oprah is not advising somebody else. It's something that Oprah does, like in this case, number 1, C. And then your verb is going to be in the present indicative, regular present tense. And estirarse, Spanish Dictionary, hey, there we are. Se estira. Let me move this here. You can see is the verb estirar. And it's showing up here reflexive because one stretches oneself, right? This is a reflexive action. The doer and the receiver of the action is both Oprah. That's why we have a reflexive pronoun there. But you can see that this is an AR verb. And if you wanted to look for good measure, you can go to conjugation. Not dictionary, but conjugation. And then you can see how this is excuse me, conjugated in all different forms. And subjunctive, gotta scoot over. They don't have the subjunctive. There you are, yeah. Subjunctive is down here. Here are the present subjunctive endings, and you can see that matches up nicely with your answer. Well, if it were in the subjunctive, that would be your answer. Sorry. Si se estira. Custom, regular present tense. To avoid confusion, we'll do two together. Oprah quiere que los jóvenes eviten. Evitar is an AR verb. Again, you can follow those steps in Spanish dictionary. It means to avoid, and then go down to the subjunctive, and you can see how it conjugates. Here, the subjunctive for sure, because we have two subjects on either side of K. Moving on to part C. In each sentence, circle the impersonal expression that indicates a suggestion for healthy living. Then use the correct present tense subjunctive form to complete the sentence. Super easy. Circle the impersonal construction. It's going to be at the very beginning of the sentence. Impersonal constructions usually begin with S to say it is necessary, it is better, it is important, etc. And then your verb would conjugate in the subjunctive. Es necesario que yo tome 8 vasos de agua al día, 8 glasses of water. Your body weight expressed in ounces divided by 2 is how much water you want to take in every day. For example, I'm 180 pounds, so I shoot for 90 ounces of water every day. That's what we need for good health. Number 1, es mejor que Miguel elimine. Miguel elimine el estrés. Good luck, Miguel. Yeah, eliminating stress, though, really important for good health. That's part C. Part D, putting all the pieces together, beginning with the impersonal expression, followed by K, followed by your subject, and then your verb conjugated in the subjunctive. For example, el entrenador recomienda que nosotros practiquemos todos los días. So 1 and 3, you don't need to conjugate anything in the first clause because these are impersonal. 2 and 4, you do need to conjugate these verbs. And again, they're in the first clause, so they're going to be in the regular present tense, just like this example here. And by the way, recomendar is one of those stem changers in the present indicative and in the present subjunctive. So, number 1, es importante que nosotros entreguemos. Entreguemos is going to be GU. And you're like, what? Carrie, there's so much to remember. I don't know if I can remember everything. It's all good. Not looking for perfection, looking for perfect effort. Don't expect you to get it all perfect. But entregar is a gar verb, right? That's why we have that G to GU spelling change. Entreguemos. El entrenador no permite que nosotros lleguemos tarde al partido. So we have 2 examples of gar verbs there with the spelling change. Next page. Irregular verbs in the subjunctive. There you have them. Circle the correct form of the subjunctive verb to complete each of the following sentences about healthy living. So these are actually all conjugated in the subjunctive. It's just a function of form, right? Es importante que nosotros mantengamos. Quiero que ellos vayan. Your subject's going to be right before. All right, trying to speed this up a little bit. Part B, group of students discusses the emphasis on health in the community. Complete the sentences with the correct present subjunctive form. Again, utilizing the notes up above here. Subjects provided right there after K, and that will guide your responses. Es importante que nosotros sepamos más sobre la buena salud. It's important that we know more about good health. Todos recomiendan que nosotros mantengamos en buena forma. You could use ser, seamos, be, or estemos, actually, to be in good shape. or mantener. I don't know why mantener isn't up here. That's to maintain. So either mantengamos or estemos, to maintain or to be in good shape. Si no te gusta correr, es importante que tú vayas o que tú tomes un paseo. Go on a walk, go on a stroll around the park. All right, let's take a look at C. Got a couple more pages. Irregular verbs in the subjunctive. Take a look at the list of recommendations given by a director of a health club. First, underline the verb that best completes the sentence, and then write the correct form of the verb using the subjunctive mood. Underline the verb that best completes the sentence, then utilize that verb in the subjunctive according to your subject. Los doctores prefieren que los jóvenes sean activos. Ser, because we have a descriptive adjective. Quiero que la gente esté relajada. Relajada is to be relaxed. We want to use the verb to be there. Les recomiendo que ustedes vayan. Vayan al club atlético, the gym or athletic club, to go to. Anytime you have al, it's a good indication that you want to use the verb ir. Part D, make a complete sentence, just like how we did in the previous page, right here. Putting all the elements together. Mis padres exigen que todos nosotros demos una caminata en las montañas. Yo recomiendo que mis amigos sean activos. Es necesario que la gente sepa dónde está el gimnasio. Final stretch. Subjunctive with change in root. Cambio de raíz. So stem changing verbs here. Types of stem changing verbs. O changing to UE. O changing to UE. E changing to IE. E changing to I. There are the types. There's the summary. This, again, is not new. You guys covered stem changing verbs in maybe a little bit of one, certainly level 2. Part A, circle the correct form of the verb in each sentence. Pay attention to whether the statement is trying to persuade someone or do something, or if it's just an observation of someone's lifestyle. Similar to the Oprah activity, customer recommendation. The bottom line is, you're going to have two subjects with K on either side if it should be in the subjunctive. If there's only one subject, no need for the subjunctive at all. Siempre vuelves a casa tarde. You are the subject, tú, and that's why the verb volver, to return, is in the present indicative. Tú te enojas cuando pierdes partidos. You get annoyed. Enojarse is to get annoyed when you lose games. Don't we all? Número 2. Es importante que, in personal construction, subjunctive should be used here. Divertirse, and again, word reference is your best friend. Mr. K, there are hella verbs here that I don't get. That's why this takes time. That's how you acquire, vocabulary, as tedious as it may be, when you come across activities, especially when it comes to verbs. And this looks like divertido, which is to be fun. So we're using different parts of speech to acquire new vocabulary. Correct answer for number 2, te diviertas. Because divertirse is an IR verb, and that would be the subjunctive ending. Siempre empiezas tu tarea muy tarde. You always begin your homework very late. No need for the subjunctive there. Final page is actually, these are all the same page right here. And I just couldn't get a clear copy, so just skip those next 2 pages, 7 and 8, or 6, 7, and 8 in this PDF, and go straight to the last one. They're all attempts at getting a clear shot of 110, and that's this page right here, the last one. Part B. A talk show host tells her TV audience what she recommends for a healthy lifestyle. Complete each sentence with the ustedes form in the present subjunctive. Es mejor que ustedes vuelvan. Remember, there's a stem change there. O-to-U-E. That's the whole point of this activity, is doing the stem change where needed. Vuelvan temprano. Exijo que ustedes, reflexive verb, se diviertan. D-I-V-I-E-R-T-A-N. Diviertan. Part C. Many people are giving health advice to you and your friends. Complete each sentence with the nosotros form of the verb in the present subjunctive. Remember that only ir verbs have stem changes in the nosotros form of the subjunctive. Modelo Julia nos recomienda que pidamos una ensalada. Patty nos recomienda que dormamos más horas. No stem change. Only the verb ir has stem changes in the nosotros form. Dormamos. Paco nos recomienda que nosotros probemos esas comidas. No stem change in the nosotros form, except for the verb ir. Alright, in part D, write complete sentences using the words provided, putting all the elements together. Each sentence should have one verb in the regular present tense and one in the present subjunctive. Mis padres quieren que yo siga sus consejos. El entrenador sugiere que los atletas duerman 8 horas. La profesora recomienda que nosotros pidamos ayuda.